Hey guys, welcome to The Camera Adds 10 Pounds. This is my podcast. I'm your host, Peter Sers, and today I have a very special guest, someone I've been trying, one of the first people, like when I made a list of all the people that I want to bring on, you were on that list.
He says that about everyone.
Not true. I've only done a few episodes, so yeah. But I want to have people that. Anyway, she doesn't need any introduction, but I will introduce her anyway. Comedian, movement. What's the word? What would the word be like? Movement.
Advocate?
Advocate. There we go. Advocate. And just one of my friends, comic. You're kind of acting now too, a little bit.
Yeah.
You know. Writer, like all kinds of stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Rachel Wolfson.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me here.
How you doing, buddy? I'm glad I finally got you in here.
I am doing well. I did 4 hours of improv this morning. I'm exhausted. I didn't go to bed till 3 a.m. last night.
Wait, why'd you stay up so late?
I was hanging out.
Oh, this podcast just got good.
Yeah, I was
right
hanging
away.
out. No, I was just hanging out. But
Okay.
I had to get up early to go to Second City, which is down the street, literally the street of where I live. So I literally wake up and I walk.
Oh, is it
to
on?
improv.
It's on Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
It's still the same place.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I did 4 hours of that, which is mentally exhausting. And now I'm here because I stick to my commitments. Like I literally thought about skipping improv this morning, but I'm like, no, that's not the Rachel that I want to be.
No.
So
I didn't know you were taking improv until just recently.
it's kind of a secret. No, it's not a secret. I love stand up so much. It's literally what I want to do for the rest of my life. So for me, I just want to get strong as a performer, and I'm willing to do anything. So
For sure.
whatever.
I think
I get why people in stand up are like purists about stand up, and I get why there's like that like weirdness between stand-ups and improvs. Like I totally get that, and I'm also going to still take improv. So
No, I think it's great. Like it's not gonna hurt you as a comic.
I don't even care what
Yeah.
other people think or whatnot. I know what I'm doing is what's best for me.
Yeah,
So
totally.
I'm just doing it.
I mean,
Yeah.
because with anything with improv, I mean, in comedy especially, there's gonna be
well,
lots
it helps in life anyways.
yeah,
so.
like there's lots of times like on stage where shit just comes up,
Yeah.
and it's good to have those improv skills.
Yeah, for sure.
But also just be more free. I feel like sometimes improv is huge. Like that really brought down some
Yeah.
barriers for me.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's a
Even
great.
acting training too. Like even if you don't want to be an actor, like just to like know how to portray a character. Like if you're gonna do someone's character or
Yeah.
whatever.
I feel like I've improved most of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here, though, a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons is kind of like when I started this podcast, I wanted to let people know that not every comedian doesn't. There's not like there are comedians that take care of themselves, and I know that everybody knows, Rachel is the big marijuana advocate.
please don't say marijuana. You're not a cop.
What should I say? Cannabis?
Just say weed.
Weed?
Yeah.
Okay,
Or cannabis. I respect that.
cannabis.
I'm just giving you shit. Whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it, Pete.
You're big. Everyone knows that. Like, and if you know Rachel, you follow her on Instagram. You follow her other Instagram, Wolfie memes.
Yeah.
Very big in the marijuana, weed, THC, high time, whatever you want to call it, community. But I actually know Rachel, which she probably won't share with everybody on a regular basis. Rachel actually works out and takes care of her body too.
I do.
Huh?
I do.
Yeah.
I work out with you.
And she looks amazing.
Thank you.
If you're watching, if you've seen her, like but also like your body has changed just in the time that
Yeah.
I've known you, which is great. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of me getting back, like you've been such a part of that, like recommitment that I made to myself because I've always been an athlete. I played basketball.
that's right. A lot of
since
people don't know that
fifth
about
grade,
you. Tell them.
up until my first 2 years of college. Like I literally, at one point I was like, I want to be the first girl in the NBA because I was like, fuck the WNBA. No one watches that shit. Like I used to play on the guys' basketball team in middle school because some of them didn't have the grades and I was the best girl on the team, even better than some of the dudes.
Right.
So I've just like always been an athlete, and after college it gets, I really was one of those people that was like, oh fuck, I have to actually push myself now. I'm not like playing basketball every week, running
Right.
so many miles. But yeah, I have a good example from my parents. They work out every single day.
Really?
Yeah.
Like together or just on their own?
Separately.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. I mean, that's Eric was in here talking about
They were
like
both athletes,
setting an
so
example. Oh yeah.
yeah.
What'd your
Mhm.
parents do?
My dad played basketball and baseball, and
Oh,
my
no
mom
kidding.
played softball.
No shit.
Yeah.
How'd they meet?
They met at work. My mom was a TV news reporter in Las Vegas, and my dad was a prosecutor
Right.
in the prosecutor's office. That's obviously implied. But my mom and dad would like pass each other in the hall, and my dad said that he would like see her on TV and be like, I'm gonna marry that girl someday. So
Shut
yeah, I'm gonna
up.
marry her. Yeah.
And he made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's manifest.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to. I can't do that. No. I am going to have a love affair with Cassidy Pope.
I mean, I really believe in the power of manifestation, and it's happened in my life.
She's
So
in my top 5, and my girlfriend knows that
yeah,
I love Cassidy, and Cassidy has a boyfriend too. So
you just never
no
know.
strings attached.
Yeah.
And then I'll still be with my girl, and it's just
Yeah, that's really
YOLO.
beautiful. You have that kind of relationship.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have an open relationship. There's just like if my girlfriend wants to fuck Kevin Durant, she can fuck Kevin Durant, and I'm like, I
Okay.
got it. You know what I
That
mean?
sounds pretty open.
Do you know who Kevin Durant is?
Yeah, he's a basketball player.
Yeah, exactly.
I played basketball.
I know. I can't picture you playing basketball.
I'm sick at basketball.
Yeah.
I'm good at sports. I can throw a mean foot spiral. Like bring me to the beach and I will throw better than all your friends and probably you.
You probably won't throw better than me
I'll
specifically. But,
probably throw as
most of
good
the
as you.
guys.
Better than your brother.
Travis. You mean my youngest
Yeah.
brother, Travis? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He wasn't. I mean, yeah.
He's not here to defend himself, but
No,
I think
he's
so.
not. Well, maybe we'll get before the show next week. We'll have
Yeah,
it.
I'm sick at it. Yeah, I've always been athletic. So, but I go through for me in my 20s
Uh-huh.
in college, like I would go through bouts of like fitness. Like usually when it was like I'm coming out of a breakup,
Of course.
I get back into my fitness and but I've noticed that I can't, that's a bad habit for me. And so I just really, it's important for me that whoever I'm with also values working out and taking care of themselves.
You hear that, boys?
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
So I know you said like in college you played so when you were done playing basketball, whenever that was, did you find that like your body was changing like in a way that you didn't like because you were no longer playing basketball?
It wasn't from that. It was my body was changing because I would get into these unhealthy relationships and I would stop working out and like you get like the happy weight, but it's really just like toxic relationship weight, you know? But it wasn't like I probably would gain like 20 pounds. I would be, or like, not always, but like that was my heaviest I gained.
In a relationship?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was like an unhealthy relationship. And he like, would make fun of me for that. Like he gave me a hard time about that. He was a dick. But,
I want names.
no, I'm not going to drop names.
Wait. How long were you with this person?
Like almost 2 years, I want to say.
So this is like your like early
This was
20s?
my first college boyfriend.
Like
yeah,
early
my
20s.
first love, pretty much. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, because I mean, I just stopped working out. I wasn't
And
like.
this is in Florida?
This was in Vermont.
Vermont, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah, this is when I lived in Vermont. So, and then we broke up, and I like developed low key an eating disorder from that because I kind of had like I was dealing with a breakup and like sometimes I think that it was one of those things that it was like I didn't realize it was happening because I lost a lot of weight like rather quickly.
Like right after the
I
breakup?
got very, very thin and I wasn't eating right and I was working out too. That was the other thing because I was like anything to distract me from whatever I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And so I dropped weight really quickly and I was like eating like a power bar. Like that would be my meal for the day and like a tea.
One meal.
or like and like or and maybe I would have something small to eat later, but I would just like I was basically
Now,
starving
were
myself.
you
And I've done that 2 times in my life where I've accidentally slipped into an eating disorder because of a toxic relationship. Mhm.
I mean, I've had. I think anyone that with a heartbreak can attest to that. Like,
Mhm.
I know you just can't. Like when you're sad and depressed, like
Yeah,
you
I'm
can't
lucky.
eat. Like you don't
I
even
hate to be like,
try.
I'm lucky. I'm one of those people that like cuz for me food is such a love and a pleasure thing, and you do it with the people you love, and like it's like more than just you know what I mean? There's like emotion to it. So it's very emotional.
Uh-huh.
So for me when I'm sad or depressed or heartbroken, like I can't enjoy the things that I love, which is like eating, listening to music, you know, like
Right.
whatever else that maybe even weed. I'm like, I don't want to smoke it. Like, I just it doesn't
Well,
make me
then
feel better.
that's when we know something's
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
Is
Mhm.
when you don't want
Mhm.
to even smoke.
At that point, when I hit those points, that's when I get back into my exercise because I'm
Yeah.
like, this will make me fall in love with everything else again.
I feel like Vermont also is kind of a place where you could easily not work out and not because of the weather and just because of the
Well, that was the
environment.
thing too. Is like I had got. It was really like a culture shock for me because I had grown up, born and raised in Las Vegas my whole life,
Yeah.
and then
702.
I spent my senior year in a lockdown, like troubled youth kid prison. No, but it was like a
Like a
therapeutic
like
lockdown boarding
like a
school.
halfway house kind of for kids.
Uh, yeah, kind of. Some of the kids were court ordered there, and some of us were like escorted or like dropped off by our parents. But I went from Utah to Vermont, so um, again, like I'm learning how to live in these like other elements, and I
You went
do.
to Utah
Yeah, for
like
a
for high
year,
school
for my
basically?
senior year of high school.
That's
Yeah, that was ran
awful.
by all
That's
Mormons,
awful.
and and the thing was is like I remained in real. They were very big into working out every day. They made us work out every day, so there was that we had to run a mile every day.
Oh, cool.
But a lot of the girls would gain weight there because they would just we couldn't have anything else. We couldn't have soda, but like every night we or on the weekends they would just let us watch movies and you had to earn like going outside. So like the only physical exercise you would maybe have is like an hour every day, which is cool, but they would give us like candy and treats and your family could send you packages, but like they went through everything and the only thing they could send you would be like food because that's like the only thing you couldn't even have
Right.
like razors and shit or whatever. Um some of them.
So
Some of us.
why do you can I ask why they
Yeah.
sent you there?
Well, my senior year, I just like was I was always smart, but I just never fit in the like typical school environment. Like I went to religious schools my whole life, which are very strict and very like repressive. And I was just like an outspoken Jewish girl who had I went to like I went to Hebrew school from pre-K through 8th grade, so like that middle schooling was like through the lens of like Jews.
Right.
And then from my high school, I went to Catholic school my freshman year, which was shitty. Like it was just like going from like this school that I went to where I like grew up with all these people for 10 years to like a Catholic school where all of those people grew up with everyone for 10 years.
Right.
They're not trying to be friends with a fucking Jew.
Right. They're
Not
like
that, but like they just like it was hard to make friends there. I had nothing in common with these people.
yeah, like
And
Jesus.
yeah, basically, and they blamed me for that and I just had to like I just felt guilty all the time, which is weird, which you think would bring us together. But and then I ended up leaving that school and going to a school closer to home because that school is closer to my parents' house or work, so they could just conveniently drop me off. But I ended up leaving Catholic school to go to a Lutheran school,
Oh.
which I had a blast.
Oh, Lutheran's like
Surprisingly,
Catholic light, basically. It's like
uh,
very similar, but like
no,
a little
it's
bit more
more
lenient.
like lenient. I would say it's evangelical. So they are out to get you. Like they're out to get you on their team. And but I had a lot of friends there. People like some I'm still friends with, you know, the people
Oh,
that I went
cool.
to school with there. But I just didn't have any direction. I played sports, but I would get injured, and that was the only thing I loved. You know, but my grades always sucked because school sucked, and I just like didn't want to do what they told me. I was bad at math, which I'm like, fuck math.
I'm still bad at math.
Um, and the only things that I liked were art, drama, and sports and lunch. And I mean, history. I mean, no, I was a smart kid. I was good at English and history. I just math was hard for me, and whatever. But at the time of June, like when all your friends are going off to college and applying, or like applying for colleges, I just was like, didn't know what I wanted. Like I also didn't have the grades to get into like UNLV, which is the local college, which pretty much accepts everyone at that time. They didn't accept me. Like I got
No
rejected from
shit, from
UNLV.
UNLV?
Yeah,
Oh
that's what I'm
man.
saying. So my dad was like, "Well, um, you could go to military school, like, or you could go to the military, or you could
Uh-uh.
become." And my mom was like, "Well, what about hairdressing school?" I'm like, "This is what you think? You want to either give me a grenade or a pair of shears? Like that's my only options."
Right.
Not that that's anything wrong, but I'm like, you guys literally know nothing about me. Like, why not suggest art school? Why was art never like a thing?
Right.
They were always just like, "Hey, why we'll try religion. We'll try the military." Um, but I was always just like a really creative kid. And then I ended up um, going to this like lockdown. And then there, um, they had found that school in Vermont. It was a liberal arts school that, um, I got into
Yeah.
that like, and from there, I was able to transfer to a 4-year college in DC to American University. So it was like a school that basically, taught you how to learn because my like elementary years were so fucked up from all the bouncing around that I did and
Right.
just the religious lens that I was taught through. And I didn't really know how to write a paper till I got to college. So
I mean, no, I feel like nobody does. Unless you're like,
yeah,
I
kind
mean,
of.
I
But
was
then
in like,
they had some like my sister went to a really good college preparatory school. And those kids were like way beyond, like even some of the public schools here in California are really great and the kids,
yeah,
are very well prepared for college.
it probably just depends on where you live.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think
like,
for sure. It depends on where you go, where you live and, your teachers.
yeah.
So,
So then you went to school, and you went to school in DC, and you ended up in Florida
yeah.
somehow, also,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like,
I was in Florida cuz I went to school in DC for a year. Again, it was so cold and I was just like I can't physically live here. It's hard when it's our life is hard already and then you have to add like the weather on top of it and just like all of these other elements. It's like no. I don't want to think about fighting the weather each day. So I saw the thing was is I was in DC and a ton of my friends from Vermont ended up going to school down in Florida. And I was on Instagram one day and I see my friend Jeff on like a yacht in the middle of the ocean on like a Tuesday and I'm freezing my ass off in DC failing all of my classes. Like I'm the dumbest person in all of my classes and I'm just like I don't want to feel like this anymore. And and so I called my mom and I was like, I just think that this is the wrong place for me and I really need to go to another school in Boca Raton, Florida.
yeah,
And I had never been to Boca. Um, and I just ended up looking it up and I was like, this sounds amazing. Like I'm by the beach, I have friends there, I can go to the school, I can get the degree I want. Um, and so I ended up packing up my shit and I moved down there. And that's where I ended up graduating with my bachelor's and my master's. And and then I was working in the restaurants there. And when I graduated college, my boss from the restaurant came to me. I was a hostess. And he was like, come in for an interview at my other office because he was a CEO of an organic pizza corporation called Pizza Fusion. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect social media for a pizza company for for a stoner chick. I couldn't have asked for anything better.
right.
And so me and him are super tight. I love him to this day. His name's Vaughn. He's brilliant. He literally is like one of the most inspiring people and mentors I've ever had, because the way he thinks was just so different and made me think that it's cool to be different and think outside the box. And he was one, like, he is not your traditional boss. Like, we had an office, but he has like, sleeve tattoos and hires people who have tattoos and piercings and like fights that like stereotype of like, and I just really respected that about him. And he's all about just like creating a positive environment. And the best part is he's very concerned about the environment. Like everything he does, especially with his other company, he had Pizza Fusion, like everything down to the tables was made out of like recycled, refurbished. And he's just like, and that was back in 2004. So that's like back before it was even cool, before it was trendy.
Right.
And so I just like got really lucky with, having him as like one of my first mentors and bosses in my career. And he inspired me to start my own social media business where like, that's how I got good at social media. And
Yeah.
yeah. So not that you asked any of those questions.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
We could talk about whatever.
Mhm.
Okay. So you moved to LA a couple years later at some point, right?
Well, at a certain point, I was living in Florida, and I was just like, okay, I can't be the pizza girl forever. Like, um, I just Florida is great, but it's really where people go to die, kind of. I mean, it's just also like weed isn't legal there. I had the cops show up at my door for weed. I didn't like that. Now it's different, but um, I wasn't going anywhere in my position. Like I could have stayed there,
Yeah.
but um, you know, I was starting to like pick up clients and stuff, and that was fine. But I was just like, there's something else out there for me. I've done this. This is great, but I know I can do other things. So, um, I always wanted to live in California. My family lives out in Vegas. My dad's born and raised here in Van Nuys, California. I spent summers here. It's been a second home to me. My dad's entire side of the family lives here. My aunts, cousins, whatever. Grandparents lived here till they passed. And so I always wanted to live in California. And then my mom, because my mom is a famous judge, and she's responsible for putting O.J. Simpson in prison for the robbery case. And so after that, they gave her a court TV show for a year here called Swift Justice that was originally with Nancy Grace.
Okay.
And then they gave it to her.
Uh-huh.
And then so like I got to see a little bit of like the entertainment industry.
What year was that?
This was when I was in college. It was 2000. I want to say maybe 2011.
Oh, okay, not that long ago.
Kind of. So,
Man,
well,
time flies,
yeah,
huh?
I think, maybe even 2009. I don't,
'Cause I don't even remember when OJ got locked up. For real.
I think, 2008, maybe,
Okay.
2009. So maybe she got the thing in 2010. Yeah. So around that time.
Okay.
And they would like fly her out, and she would film all these episodes. They put her up in this nice ass hotel.
What was the
Like,
show?
it was called Swift Justice.
But
It was
like
it was
what?
like a Judge Judy style
Oh,
show.
okay.
Um, and it was dope. Like she incorporated social media. Like they would have these tweets that would pop up. Like it was before anyone was doing that, but it was
Yeah.
kind of like before Facebook video existed. And so like I felt like she would have gone more viral if like
Yeah.
the media was there for it. Not that she's not viral. Everyone knows,
Yeah.
about her. Not everyone, but a lot of people do. And so I was like, this is amazing. Like I got to see the production side of things, like how she was treated as talent, and just like it was really fucking cool. And I was like, I want to move here. And my mom was like, nope. You're not moving here until you have a job, or like we're not moving you here. And I was like, I'm coming here. Like, and so I went back to Florida, and I lived there for, a couple more years, 2 more years. And my lease was up. My lease was coming up. It was 2013. And then I met a guy who, so I was living in Florida. It was like 2013. I had just gotten out of a relationship, and I was like, I'm going to go back to Vermont for for like
Ew.
a week
Oh.
to vacation to get because it's the summer and it's really beautiful,
Right.
and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a really great place you say ew, but in the summer and the spring, so beautiful, and some
Yeah.
of the best food I've ever eaten, some of the best produce, some of the best, people, and it's real people, like real, and the nature is incredible. Some one
I
of them,
picture lots of trees in Vermont.
giant trees, giant mountains that are just green and make you feel so small, and they're just endless, and there's wildflowers and animals and nature, and it smells great, and ponds and lakes, and just, yeah, I love Vermont. And so that's where I go sometimes where I'm like, I just need to get away. And so I'll go stay with my friends. They like live off the grid there, live in this dope ass house they built made out of like just like, I don't know, wood, and it's a cabin, and then they have a small tiny house on their property where they can have guests.
Oh,
And it's amazing. Like it makes you really like we don't need all this space as humans. We really don't. Like the mansions, no way. We don't. We think we need that. We think that. And then I think that's where a lot of our unhappiness comes from, because it's like we have to keep up with the
oh,
keep up. It's like, no, we just need what we need.
yeah, everyone's flossing.
Too much. And so um it's just so I went back there, and that's when I met my first boyfriend when I moved out here, because he used to be a student at the same school in
Ah,
Vermont, but like 6 years before me, and he turned out to be a filmmaker, and he was there like on tour on the East Coast and came through the school to show his film, and he just happened to be there at the same time, and so my friend introduced us, and we hit it off, and I was like, I'm moving to California, and he happened to live in LA already. It was just like the weirdest thing. It wasn't like my ticket to LA, because like my parents already knew, but like I happened to meet this guy, and we had so much in common. Like our last names were very similar. I thought I was going to marry the guy, to be honest, but it turned out not to be. It turned out not to be right, but I do owe a lot of like my like how I got here. Like we dated long distance for months, and then I moved to LA, and the plan was I was going to move in with him and then get my own apartment. But like we ended up just dating for a year and a half, and we broke up, and then I moved out and got my apartment. And so that's how I got to LA. Um that's how I got to LA from Florida.
okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. Um, so throughout this time, I feel like you're still working out, even though we've heard all
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah, I was still
Um,
working out.
and you start doing comedy like
This was
shortly
later.
thereafter. Yeah.
So my way into comedy was I worked a lot of corporate jobs here that were just shitty. The first corporate job I had here was at an architectural design firm that is known for designing all like the wind water fountains, the Americana, the big fountains in Dubai. Like as far as they're like the father of the fountains. So I was just a receptionist at that job. It paid $19 an hour, probably one of the best like paying gigs as far as that and it had benefits, and they let
Benefits.
you work out for an hour each day because the CEO valued that.
Oh, that's
He
great.
saw that if you give your employees an hour to work out, they will pay for it, meaning they had a trainer come in,
No
paid him
shit.
lots of money, and they built a gym just so for this guy who ended up being my personal trainer for a while. You guys remember after I left him for
Oh yeah,
you,
yeah.
just saying. You
Well, he
guys are
was
very
moving. He was
similar.
moving, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't go to Woodland Hills, but he's a great trainer.
yeah.
And we became buddies. And so,
That's a good company.
yeah, and so, well, yes.
I mean, well, the theory, I
No,
like.
no, no. That was one thing that I had never seen before that I really valued from that CEO, that I was like, and I was horrible at my job, but I was amazing at working out. Like
Yeah,
that's all I literally just came to that job just so I can work out on their dime.
yeah.
And so, and they hooked it up with a free gym membership as well. And like they were just, because it just helps the job that the jobs they had there were so high stress. Like you're designing these expensive ass water fountains for these like rich billionaires,
That sounds so
and
funny.
it's like I was just the worst at my job. So yeah, so there was that job, and then I left that. I got fired, and then um I ended up taking a job at a video game advertising agency. I interviewed for a social media position and then account managing position, and they're like, "Which one do you want?" And I was like, "Account managing," which I don't know why I took that job, because um I wanted to like I wanted to be like adventurous with my career, but I realized like that's not like something people do. Like you're supposed to like it's not like a choose your own adventure. Like you're
Yeah,
supposed
why
you
not?
should whatever. Right,
Yeah, who
exactly. For
cares?
us it's yeah, we think like that. But like
Yeah,
the real world doesn't because it's expensive to do that. They
yeah.
have to if you're not the right person, they don't want to like fuck around. So quickly I found out that was the wrong position for me. Like I should have never taken that job. And it was just awful. And I ended up getting so sick, like I got strep throat because I was so stressed out over this job that I just never went back. So I quit. And then I took some time to like really mentally gain strength back because it really fucks with me. These corporate jobs that I would have, it would just send me into deep, dark depressions. I just never felt like I fit into that like whole environment. And after like 4 or 5 months, I kind of like got my strength back mentally. And I went on LinkedIn and I saw that Levity Entertainment was hiring for a social media position. And I was like, oh, they're the biggest comedy purchaser in the United States. Like they own and operate all of the improvs. Holy fuck. Like I went to my first time going to the improv was when I was living in Florida. And the first show I ever saw was Mike Epps at the Palm Beach Improv with my best friend. And I would go to like the Fort Lauderdale Improv. I would see like John Lovitz, Bob Saget. Like I started going to comedy shows when I was in college. And I was a huge Dane Cook fan my like when I was 19. Like
I
that
am
was
too.
insane for me.
Yeah,
And I don't care. I like love.
I love it.
He's great.
I know.
And so
He's one of
so
my
for me,
favorites.
yeah, so for I mean he's just like yeah. So basically I applied for the job. I beat out like 50 applicants they said who and and it was finally like it was the first time aside from the pizza company that I was like, okay, I can get behind whatever this is, but I also the commute sucked and I
It,
just like here I was back in an office job in a social media position where I'm like, okay, I can't go up from here unless I want to be like head of marketing, which I don't want to be in charge of people. I want to work alone. And so I was there for like a year, but 4 months into it, I ended up freelancing. And they still like let me, which was cool because I was able to like work from home, pick up other clients and like um started like that's when I had wanted to do comedy when I first moved to LA when I started dating the filmmaker.
uh-huh.
But because I was going through a breakup, um I just like it just wasn't the right time. Like I like signed up to go to Mike's and just like never went. And so we even went and saw Sam Grody, shout out to my friend Sam,
Hi,
do stand
Sam.
up at the John Lovitz Club. And like I was like
John Lovitz.
yeah,
Fuck,
back
that's
when
a
it was yeah.
throwback.
And I was
Shit.
like, dude, I want to do this. And then I ended up getting that job at Levity. And then I ended up, when I was like freelancing, I was like in another relationship. It was miserable. And I was just like, I just want to get on stage. Like I was like cutting clips of comedians and I just like was so inspired and I would get to go to see the greatest shows of like because I was doing social media for the improv and like
Right.
I was just spoiled with comedy. I was like, oh, this is just such a cool art form and like you know I could do this. Like I was like, I could do this. I know I could do this. I have a story. I have jokes. I'm funny. Like, um, and that's when after working at Levity for a year, they ended up hiring someone to work in house. It's cheaper for them. But I told them I was like, I want to do stand up. So Rita got me a job bartending at the Improv, and they don't really give those jobs to like young women. Like it's like
Yeah.
Eddie, Eddie train. It's so like for me in retrospect, it means so much like Rita because I'm a horrible bartender. I'm a stoner. I'm not a career bartender. I bartended like I can make the basic drinks, but for what that
Yeah.
job really required was, but that's how much she really like gave me a shot. And that was cool because I got to see another side of like I was really in with getting to know the open micers and like getting to know the comics even more because I had gotten to know the comics from like the corporate side of things and like marketing their stuff, but like here I am like bartending their shows, bartending the mics, like really learning how jokes work and how people write jokes. And like one of my first mics was Jamie Flam, who is the former manager of the Improv, gave me a mic behind the bar. and I'm while I'm bartending, and like no one's listening to me. Everyone had their backs turned. Like people are like or still trying to order drinks, and I'm just
Right.
like, dude, I'm doing a tight 3.
That's
You know,
awesome.
so
This is in the lab.
yeah, this is in the
Yeah,
lab.
yeah.
So like it was really just like such a cool, like it was like I was getting closer and closer to the mic,
Yeah.
and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. And then I ended up getting fired from the improv. But we're still on good terms. Like I still get up there and I can go there to the mic and whatever. But it was really the best thing that ever happened for me because that's when I started hitting the mics every night because I couldn't be doing comedy if I was bartending all the shows because I was working as much as possible and I was making great money. But I wasn't working on becoming a comic. I was always going to be seen as the bartender at the improv.
Right.
So after I got fired, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to commit to comedy. And so I just hit mics every night, as many mics as I could. I got introduced. That's when I met Andrea and I had and Matt, and I had and that's when I met you. And I had my first first time hosting a show at the Haha, which was like my first real show ever, I think. And
Was I there?
yeah,
I felt like I was there.
and that was like 2 months into comedy, maybe.
Dang.
And
That's huge.
so and I didn't eat a dick, and I just got the bug. I was like, I'm hooked forever. It was like I had been aimlessly wandering this planet searching for that something, and then it finally hit me, and I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is it. Like this is what I'm meant to be doing. And I had never done anything where I had gotten such quick that like, okay, I started getting paid gigs. Like I started getting paid to do I was like, I can get paid for this.
The
And
best.
it was, and then, I just was like, well, I really want to get good. Like I want to learn how to write a joke. I want to learn how to perform. I respect the craft so much. I grew up watching stand up. I grew up watching improv. I was in drama and improv, and I really respect people who are good at things. Like it's sexy to me when it doesn't matter what you look like, but if you're good at something, like, I've just like I've loved comedy and making people laugh. And I was a class clown. Like that was just something that always came naturally to me and that made me stand out because I was a girl. So, but at the same time, I was working at Levity. When I was at Levity, I was doing social media, but that's when I taught myself Photoshop. And that's when I started my memes account. And so I would just like go to work and meme all day. I was obsessed. And this is before I even got into comedy. I was writing jokes for a whole year before I even stepped foot on stage.
Yeah.
I was like I was a mad woman, and like it's crazy how it all came kind of together. And like the thing is like I combined kind of my passions. I was like, okay, well, weed, comedy, writing, and then like yeah, so and the thing was like I just knew that whatever it is that I was doing, I just had to keep going and that I couldn't stop.
Yeah. I feel like with me having been an athlete, it's very easy to get serious about comedy. Like for me when I started
As a
doing
competitive on like a competitive.
as like I know I need to put in work to do
Right,
this
from like
to
it's
get
like
it
you're your own
really
exactly. You like you're competing against your like I like to say the only person that like I'm competing with is my less funny self from the day before.
right.
Like that's the person who I'm trying to beat. You know what I mean? Cuz like I don't really like it's so easy to get jealous and caught up and competitive in what your peers are doing, and that's just like a natural human
Totally.
thing, but that will destroy you as like a performer and an artist and a creator. And like I'm just so that's one thing like ever like quickly from the beginning that I learned that if I'm going to survive in this like in this community, that I can't worry about what other people are doing.
Yeah.
So, and the way that I can not worry about them is to work on myself and
Right.
better myself. So,
But like just like, I mean, we all know people that like they are like, "Oh, I'm going to start comedy," and like they'll do like one mic, every couple weeks or one show a month, or it's like, no, if you're going to do comedy, like you have to do it.
yeah.
And I feel like I mean, maybe I'm just making it up, but like having been an athlete and having been like I'm into fitness and whatever, like that has parallels into like when I started, I knew like, okay, I have to get good because like I know I can be funny, but like
Mm-hmm.
I have to put in a lot of work. And I made myself, I started working with Matt. I made myself an asset so I can get on as many shows as
Mm-hmm.
possible. Um, but I just think that I think there's an athlete's mentality that you have
Yeah.
that maybe I mean like not everybody knows that about you.
Yeah.
That's why I think that it's good that you shared that you did that
Yeah.
because when they think of you as like I mean and even still like there's people that like to think like oh stoner so they must be lazy they must be this but it's like yeah but you're also an athlete and I mean there's a lot of obviously we know now that stigma's gone and there's a ton of productive
Mm-hmm.
people that are labeled as stoners but like
Michael Phelps.
yeah, I mean,
He's,
I mean, think about it, like Joe
yeah.
Rogan, like fucking
Yeah.
half the people in
Um,
comedy that are
I like,
successful.
I like, I have like a very athletic mindset.
Yeah,
Like, even with my comedy now, how I approach a show, it's like basketball for me. Cause like each joke is like a, like a shot or a dunk or like a miss,
yeah.
it's like, it's very much like basketball for me. I really want to play basketball with Sarah Silverman. Like, that's what I'm hoping to manifest
Does
is
she
like,
play basketball? Oh,
yes,
really? I didn't know that.
yes. And I know that we would be so tight. And I really want to get on like a comedy. I don't want to get hurt because I get hurt very easily because I'm
Right.
very aggressive, but I don't weigh that much. So I get like, I'm very like defense and yeah, but I break bones very easily. So I'm worried I might have to get all padded up like a
I want my
loser.
girlfriend to play too. You guys should start a team.
Yeah, I'm down. But like it's, yeah, that's kind of how I look at it for
Yeah,
sure.
and I think it's hard with the comedy lifestyle. Like having to go on the road, which you're doing a lot now, or just like driving a couple hours to a show or staying up late at
Mm-hmm.
night. You know, to take care of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
physically and
Yeah.
mentally for that matter. But you still make that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I'm a special case altogether. Like I'm gonna work out hours a day, but like it's hard to like be up until 12 or
Mm-hmm.
1 and then get up and go work out the next day, or not eat the chicken fingers
Yeah.
and the fries and like I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, for me, I just think that self care is so important. I know, like, it's such a punchline nowadays, like the idea of self care, but I really think that, that whole like I think people get off on like people just like roam the earth depressed in their like problems. And for me, I'm just like, don't complain if you're not willing to do something about it. So for me, if I don't look good, I don't feel good. And the only way that I know how to change that is to work on myself and to work out and to make that time. And so I just know that I think it's like 28 days to make a habit.
Yeah,
So I was like, I don't need to work out 2 hours every day.
right.
It doesn't,
Nobody does.
no,
I
like
just do it
I
because I
just
have
need to
issues.
do what works for me. And I think that's what people struggle with is like they think there's this vision of like they have to do what CrossFit or what everyone is doing. They have to eat like this or whatever. It's like, no, find what works for you, but
Right.
get out there, get active, get your heart pumping, sweat a little bit, like get those brain cells regenerating. And like that's what we're designed to do as humans. We were like roaming the earth, like burning calories, like
Like looking
hunting
for
and
food.
gathering,
Yeah.
like we're not meant to be stagnant. And I think that's what happened to a lot of like our generation is we've become stagnant, we're complacent, we're just like satisfied with the mediocre. And for me, I feel confident when I look good and mentally, physically. Like at the end of the day, life you can't control. You cannot control life. And my life can get out of control sometimes, like scheduling, comedy. You know how this world can get. And so I'm like, okay, well, the one thing I can control is how I look and how I feel and like doing the things that I do and sticking to my commitments. And oftentimes when I'm feeling depressed or down, the first thing I ask myself is, am I exercising? Am I eating right? Am I getting the right amount of sleep? Am I making, healthy choices?
Hmm.
And usually I'm not active. I'm in bed sad. So I need to if that means getting up first thing in the morning, making my cup of tea because it helps my tummy feel better, and like laying my workout clothes from the night before so I don't even have to think about it, because the simple things like that's the little anxieties that hold people back, is just like getting up out of bed and having to go search for that sports bra or the socks or whatever. But if you just create like those moments where you can get rid of the anxiety, like create those opportunities of getting rid of the anxiety. That's a weird way of saying it, by like maybe just laying out your clothes the night before, or, you know, let's say you have a commitment at noon. Okay, well, you're going to set your alarm at 9 so you can get up at 9:30, so you can get in the gym at 10, so you can get half hour in. You know, it's just like creating those moments for yourself. It's part of adulting and growing up and realize. I mean, that's the thing about your 30s and your 20s. It was cool to like shit on yourself. It was cool to stay out late, eat Taco Bell, drink, be fucked up on drugs. I mean, that's the time to do it, right?
Yeah.
In your 30s, you're a creep if you do that. It's not cool to be the 30-year-old fuck up. Like, it's just not, you don't want to be that person. You know, you're not, this is the time to like really, I feel like I'm in my prime in my 30s, I think. And that's a result of, I wasn't awful to myself in my 20s,
Yeah.
you know, and I've always, you know, but I also think that, you know, 30s is cool because you just know yourself more. And that's the thing that I learned is, I just got to look good to feel good. So,
Dude, that's the name of this podcast. The camera
Yeah.
adds 10 pounds. Like, there's a reason why I named, because I'm the same way. Like, I need to feel a certain, I mean, and you know my history too. It's like I've been through so much shit. And so, for me, like, fitness was always a way for me to kind of escape a little bit. But even now, like, in comedy with, like, the late nights and the driving, like, you know, the other day it took me 4 hours to get to my show. And so, like, I only had an hour to, like, but I went on the elliptical for a half an hour and I just got it in just so I could feel better.
Yeah.
But, like, after 4 hours of driving, like, I did not want to, I mean, I wanted to, but I didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it would just be really easy to be like, fuck that. Like, I just drove for 4 hours. I'm not going to do it. And then but I wouldn't feel that, like, I don't know. I just, for me at least, I feel like when I'm on stage, like, I mean, I'm obviously like, I'm not like a physical comic, but I also don't just stand behind the mic and like
Right. You're very
recite
high
out.
energy.
Super high energy.
Yeah, which is cool and engaging. And I think that the working out probably helps that. Like for me,
sure.
my energy is higher, obviously, when I work out, on the days that I work out, where my
Yeah.
heart rate is a little bit up and the
Uh-huh.
blood is pumping. So it's also made me a better performer, you know?
How so?
Because like I said, you know, if I'm working out, I look good. If I look good, I'm more confident on stage.
Got it.
And I like when I work out, I'm writing jokes, I'm going over my set. I like say my jokes over and over. I'm thinking of one-liners. Like it just your brain is like working. It's
Yeah,
like
I
it's
agree.
like waking up, and then just later that night, I just have the confidence to go on stage, and it also gets rid of that anxiety, and where I'm like, okay, I'm excited. I'm not afraid. I'm excited to get on stage because I know
I'm gonna
that
fuck those
whatever's going to
fools up.
happen, I'm prepared for it.
Yeah.
I look good, I feel good. I got the wit, like that's a lot to do with the working out.
Yeah, like, but we talked about this at the beginning. Just in the time, I feel like we've known like what, like a couple years now.
Yeah.
I feel like we've known each other at
Yeah.
least. But your body's changed just since I've met you. So what have you done differently over the last couple years?
Well, I mean, I started working out consistently.
Like you were already thin.
Yeah.
But like you're like leaner now. You're more toned.
Yeah.
More tanned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think consistency was kind of like the thing that I was lacking because I would work out. I would work out with a trainer like maybe a couple times a week, but I wouldn't do cardio. So I definitely upped my cardio, which cardio, I like. The idea of cardio always gave me like that anxiety where it's like, ugh, I don't want to go run because I'm not like a runner, even though I played basketball, but it's like, I just don't, it's hard on my knees and I never run as hard as I need to in order to burn the calories that I need to burn. So I fell in love with the elliptical and I do like 20 minutes and then I'll do like my light weights and then I'll go and train with you a couple times a week. And like, I've just found that if I've been consistent with that, maybe I miss a day, I take a day off because I fucked up my back or I get, you know, I'm on my cycle or whatever. But like,
those are the best.
But
those
like,
are the best texts.
I know, I
started my
can't make
period.
it.
I
I'm
can't
so
come in
sick.
today.
I know, like, so, it's so typical. But yeah, I just found that by getting into a consistent, like, when you first start getting back into shape, it's easy to get discouraged because you don't see the results that you want as
Uh-huh.
quickly. But I was like, I know that if I just remain consistent, because my body responds to consistency very quickly, like 2 weeks, I'll see like an immediate difference.
Uh-huh.
Um, that I will get to where, because I was like, I have this vision in my mind of how I know I can look. Like, I know how I want to look. I know how I like when I look my best. And it's like, okay, here's what I need to do to get there. And it's like, I've just gotten into the habit. I found what I know, what works for me. And I mean, I like, obviously tanning is probably not the best thing for me, but I like the sunshine. The vitamin D is good for me
For
too, for
sure.
my
You have to get some
for
sun,
my,
man.
like my mentality, my mental health. So yeah, I just like really made self-care kind of a priority for me. Especially because I'm like going through a breakup and like I'm just in this weird part of my life where a lot is changing and I just have to roll with it. And
Uh-huh.
like I can't control that part of my life, but I can control that whatever happens, I'm going to look good when I show up, you know?
That's great.
So,
I feel like too, I mean, just from what you've told me today, a lot of it is just for your own, like you're doing it for you.
yeah.
And I think that's the best thing to like for me, it's like people are like my girlfriend will be like, "You're like, why are you going to the gym again?" I'm like, "Cause I just I want to do that." She's like, You're already like you're fine. You can take it like a day off." I'm like,
Mhm.
I do it for me. I don't even do it for you.
Yeah.
Like, and you are at the point where I feel like you do it for you,
Right.
which is what is important.
Well, it's all for me because like this is what it's like for me. I'm not I like weed doesn't work for everyone, and I'm very much like find what works for you in all aspects of your life. Because like here, like I am just like an example of like here's what works for me, you
Right.
know. And people look at me like, oh, what are you doing? What do you do? What's your secret? Blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, well, this is what works for me. I don't know if that's gonna work for you. And yeah, I mean, like I've just felt like I've done so many things for so many other people. Like I took jobs to make my parents happy. I would dress a certain way for a certain boyfriend. I would work out a certain way, for a certain boyfriend and eat a certain way. And it's just like that doesn't make me happy.
Yeah.
So, and I think that part of growing up is taking responsibility for finding what makes you happy and like not being afraid to work on yourself and like kind of owning whatever that looks like. So,
There's I'm gonna post this. I hope you still have it in your phone. When I think were you in Vegas or it might have been when you went to Florida, but you sent me a picture of you lifting weights by the pool with a joint
mhm.
in your mouth.
Mhm.
That's gonna be like a classic image at some point.
Probably.
I don't remember where was that though. Were you in yeah,
Florida.
you were in
Yeah, yeah,
Florida.
yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
What so let's say like someone's listening and they're like, okay, well, what does Rachel like to do? Like,
To work out.
yeah.
So I've really, like I said, I fell in love with the elliptical.
Uh-huh.
I'll do like 15 to 20 minutes on like a resistance. And then I'll either do that depending, like I'll do some light weights like legs and arms before, and
Uh-huh.
then I'll do my cardio, or like depending if I have time, I'll just do cardio that day. And then I go to your class
Oh yeah.
and do the like resistance training
Uh-huh.
and circuits and
Yeah.
like a couple times a week because if I could I go to it every day, but I also just
You need days off.
yeah, like I'm cool with like doing my 20 minutes at the gym.
Yeah.
So I also really like the food has been um a big thing too. Like I don't eat as much late at night because I'm not in a relationship anymore. So it's not like we're sitting in bed. Like, and I also don't deprive myself either. I had some fucking cheesecake last night. I had sushi. I eat what I want.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is like
But you don't eat bad all the time.
but
We
here's the
talked
thing.
about this.
I eat what I want, but I love eating good.
Yeah.
Like I will eat good if my choice is to always eat good
You
first.
feel better.
If I can't eat good first, then I will, resort to other things. But I'll order Taco Bell at like 1 a.m. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll fuck it up.
Really? You
Yeah.
still go to Taco Bell?
No, they come to me.
Do they deliver now?
Yeah.
Are you
Postmates.
serious?
Mhm.
Oh, Postmates.
Yeah.
That's
I
funny.
love a crunch taco.
Oh God.
Listen, look,
Oh.
I'm never gonna regret on my
Yeah.
deathbed a meal that I ate. I will fuck up anything.
Have you ever been to the taco truck on
Sunset and Gower?
Olympic and La Brea?
No, but I know exactly which ones you're talking about. We passed it.
You'll never want to go to
Can we
Taco
go
Bell.
right now?
They're only
7 o'clock.
I think later than that. It's Tuesday through Saturday. I want to say like 8:30 on. But like if you ever drive by, it's called El Chavo. But honestly, out of all
El
I
Chavo.
think it's called El Chavo, or I'm pretty sure, or just Chavo maybe. But they're on the corner of Olympic and La Brea in LA. And if you come to LA, it's literally the best taco truck in LA. And I've been to a
Okay.
lot of them. There's the ladies. I don't know if she's the owner, but like there's this older lady that's in there and they're at night and she's got sunglasses on and she's just fucking making tacos and burritos and it's fucking amazing. So please don't go to Taco Bell anymore. Go to El Chavo,
Okay.
please. Maybe Postmates will bring that. Dude,
Yeah, I
it's
doubt
so
it.
much better. But do you think like, I mean, your eating habits, I know you're being modest, but like you don't eat like you did in your early 20s.
I've just never, I mean, like, I was never a horrible eater.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, I don't eat late at night as much anymore. Like, I remember when I first started smoking weed, I would get the munchies so bad, and that would just fuck up my whole stomach. Like, I would just eat so much, and I'm like, this is not right.
Right.
Like, no one should eat this much. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I really just part of also getting older is learning what it's like you're like a car, so like what gas makes you feel the best.
Absolutely.
So, and you only know that from trial by error.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you eat something one time, it doesn't make your stomach feel great, you might forget, and like, but like really it's paying attention to like how do you feel after you eat the stuff that you do. And like I feel so good after I eat eggs and vegetables and fruit and drink my water and my juices and my smoothies and my protein. Like my body loves animal protein. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't be vegan.
Me neither.
And I mean, it's just like I tone up and lean up when I eat just that fruit, veggies, highly veggies, quinoa, brown rice, but protein, man. My body just sucks it up.
And that's pretty much like my diet, which you just described.
Yeah. And so I also kind of learned those eating habits from my parents. So it hasn't been like, I think that's one of the hardest things for a lot of people to learn is how to take care of themselves. And a
Yeah.
lot of it starts with just your diet and exercise. And that's where a lot of their problems stem from, their depression, their anxiety, their insecurities, their lack of motivation. It's like, well, what kind of gas are you putting in your car?
Yep.
Treat yourself like a Rolls Royce, but you're putting in, 87 gas. You're going to run like shit.
Yeah.
Like it just makes sense. And it's kind of fucked up. They don't really teach you that in school, like how to take care of your body and your life, and they don't put there's no value on that. And I wish that they would just come in and they would teach kids how to, but that's like, do you really want, I mean, people are like, well, do we want our kids to like learn how to, but it's also a cultural thing. Different cultures eat differently.
For
And
sure.
like, so
Have you ever been to, you said like you made the 87 gas reference. Have you ever been to a state, there's like states where they have less than 87 gas. Have you ever seen that? There's like, I want to say like 85 and 83 or like what the
or
fuck
84 or something.
like, yeah, like lower than 87. I'm like, I thought 87 was the lowest. What the fuck is this
Sounds
shit?
dangerous.
It's weird. I forget what state. I mean, there's several states I've seen it. I'm like, oh, this is weird. Okay, cool. I like that. We have to touch on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I got into it a couple times. But you were also, knowing you got me into doing like, at first CBD, because I'm getting old and my joints were hurting and my muscles were hurting. And so you were like, literally like, from meeting you, that was when I was like, oh, because you were the
You
first.
hit me up about the spray.
Yeah, like, well, just because I didn't want to put anything into my body that was anything because of preconceived notions and just stigmas from before and, shit with my dad and just like I didn't want to do like a drug. So we started with that, but then I got to doing tinctures and like my body feels so much better. And part of it is because you had that knowledge to be like, hey, this
Yeah.
is what you need to do. This is how, and it was like, I didn't know you, but it was like, that was how we kind of like got to talking. And it's changed everything. Like I talked about it in my last couple podcasts ago, but like I was doing like 3 or 4 Advil a day,
Yeah.
and now I hardly
That's
ever
awesome.
do that.
Yeah, you like those gummy edibles
I
too.
love them, dude.
Aren't they amazing?
They
The
help me
Kiva.
sleep.
Oh, they're so good. Well, I mean, a lot of it, that's the thing about weed that I like is it really just brings people together. Like we've never even smoked, but just having a conversation about weed kind
Yeah.
of bonded us. And it's really cool to be able to share that knowledge with people in my life who would never even think to treat themselves like that. Like even
Yeah.
like my own family, my mom, she is very open to CBD and edibles and topicals and things like that for her own health reasons. And that's the thing that I just, that's been really cool for me to kind of experience is able to like just like I said, share that knowledge and hopefully provide some relief in a different way so that, you guys know you don't have to take pharmaceuticals and, um, you know, put yourself through all that. Like I'm the guinea pig,
Yeah.
I tried all this out so that to let you guys know, no, but, yeah, it's been really cool to see
It's helped my body. I mean, it's helped my body a
people
ton. Like I
kind
don't
of
feel.
change their views on
Yeah.
something that I've just always that's been so special to me and yeah, I think it's the future. I think weed is CBD, weed, even mushrooms, I think.
Oh, that's a whole other thing.
I really think that's the
Yeah.
future.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad because like I said, I feel better now, and because I have no intention of slowing down my physical activity and whatnot. So it was like it's almost like everything happens for a reason. I feel like we met because
Totally.
my body, and now we're like friends, and
Yeah.
it's and
Homies.
now. Where can people find you on social media?
At Wolfie Comedy, that's where I post like all of my stand-up stuff and the jokes. And then for the tokes, you can follow me at Wolfie Memes, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Same thing with Wolfie Comedy, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then download, like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, recommend to your mom. My podcast, Chronic Relief, with
Correct.
Rachel Wolfson,
Uh-huh.
available in Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I was on that podcast.
you
too.
were. Great episode.
Oh yeah, I got deep on that one about
Mm-hmm.
my dad and stuff. Yeah, and it's a great podcast. I've listened to. It's very. There's a whole wide range of people that you've had on. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, listen to her podcast. Also like, rate, review, share all those things for this podcast.
Jeez.
And if you guys have questions for me or for Rachel, send them over. Rachel, well, when you guys hear this, depending on when you hear this, she's going to be with me at the Ontario Improv
Yeah.
July 2nd, which is when this episode drops. So if you're listening to this episode on July 2nd, go to the Ontario Improv and come see us. And then we'll probably have a bunch of other stuff coming up together
For
in the
sure.
summer because she's one of my favorite people
I
to
can't wait.
do shows with.
Take me on the road.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Follow Rachel. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been The Camera Adds 10 Pounds. See you next time. Bye.